I bet you feel like you're drowning in news sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah. Definitely, huh?
It feels like every time you look, there's like 50 new things that you're supposed to
Mm.
know about and understand.
Yeah.
But don't worry, in this deep dive, we're going to break down the most important Bitcoin news from this past week.
Absolutely.
We're talking Trump tariffs,
Yeah.
Larry Fink saying some pretty wild stuff,
Uh-huh.
GameStop going all in on Bitcoin,
Yep.
a huge whale transaction,
Yeah.
and Fidelity's outlook on Bitcoin.
Right.
Basically, everything you need to know to sound like a genius at your next cocktail party.
Uh-huh. Exactly.
So let's just jump right into President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs. First of all,
Oh, yeah.
did you know that was what he was calling them, Liberation Day?
I did not know that.
Liberation Day tariffs just rolls right off the tongue, right?
It's very catchy.
So anyway, these tariffs really shook up the market. The NASDAQ dropped 11%. U.S. equities lost, I think it was like $5.4 trillion,
Wow.
which is just an insane amount of money. But Bitcoin dipped a bit down to about $81,600.
Right.
But then it bounced back up pretty quickly. By Friday, it was back up to like $84,200.
Yeah, Bitcoin's been looking pretty strong lately.
I think this whole thing with the tariffs just adds more fuel to the fire for people who see Bitcoin as like digital gold.
Yeah, safe haven asset, you know?
Exactly. Like when the dollar is potentially at risk because of trade wars and stuff,
Yeah.
Bitcoin starts looking pretty good.
Right.
And then you've got Larry Fink saying that Bitcoin could challenge the U.S. dollar's reserve currency status.
I mean, that's a pretty big statement.
Right. And this is the CEO of BlackRock. We're talking about one of the biggest financial institutions in the world.
Exactly. It's not just some random guy on Twitter.
Exactly. So that's definitely something to pay attention to. And it's interesting when you consider that BlackRock has been really pushing for these Bitcoin ETFs.
Right. It seems like the big players are starting to take Bitcoin more and more seriously.
Definitely. And then there's GameStop's big Bitcoin. They bought like $1.5 billion worth of Bitcoin.
Mm. Yeah, I saw that.
They just did an offering and basically turned around and put all that money right into Bitcoin.
Wow.
So it's not just an investment for them. It's like they're using Bitcoin as a treasury asset.
Interesting. So you think other companies might start doing the same thing?
I think it's definitely possible, especially with all the uncertainty in the stock market right now. You know, companies are looking for safe places to park their cash.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then on top of all of that, we had this massive whale transaction. Someone moved over $123 million worth of Bitcoin off of a U.S. exchange.
Wow. Yeah, I saw people talking about that on X. I mean, no one knows for sure why they did it, but
Right.
it's definitely interesting.
It could be that they're just moving it to cold storage to keep it safe, or it could be something more strategic, like they're getting ready to make a big move. Either way, when you see that much Bitcoin moving around, it's definitely a sign that something's up.
Yeah, for sure.
And the timing is pretty interesting, too, because this was happening right when Bitcoin's price was holding steady above $83,000, even while everything else was going crazy.
So maybe the whales are feeling pretty confident about Bitcoin.
That's one way to interpret it. And then to top it all off, Fidelity released this analysis that said Bitcoin is entering an acceleration phase.
Really?
Yeah, they said it's all because of increasing adoption and institutional interest. And there are even reports that MasterCard is working on making it easier for merchants to accept Bitcoin payments.
Wow. So it's like everything is lining up for Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, it really seems like it. So we've got Bitcoin shrugging off this huge market shock from the tariffs.
Right.
We've got big names in finance saying Bitcoin is going to be a major player. We've got companies like GameStop using it as a treasury asset.
Yep.
And we've got whales making big moves and analysts saying this is just the beginning.
Yeah. It's pretty exciting stuff.
So I guess the big question is, where does it all go from here? What do you think? What are the long-term implications of all this for the future of money and investing?
I mean, it's hard to say for sure, but it definitely feels like something big is happening.
I think so, too.
It's like we're at a turning point or something.
Yeah, it really does feel like that. So for everyone listening, I want you to think about what all of this means for you. How could these trends change the way you think about your own finances?
Yeah, good question.
Because the world is changing fast, and it's important to stay ahead of the curve.
Absolutely.
So keep your eyes peeled and stay informed. We'll be back next week with another deep dive into the biggest Bitcoin news.
See you then.
Bye!
Bye.